Would you ever expect to go on a romantic date only to find out your partner believes you should cover the bill just because you're a woman? Stay tuned, because this story takes a wild turn you won't see coming. Sarah had always been skeptical about dating apps, but when she started chatting with Alex, something about him intrigued her. He was charismatic, funny, and seemed to have a great sense of humor. When he invited her to dinner at a trendy new restaurant, she decided to give it a shot. When she arrived, Alex was already waiting at the entrance, tall, stylishly dressed, and exuding confidence. He held the door open for her, paid her a few compliments, and Sarah thought this date was off to a better start than she had expected. They ordered drinks, and as Sarah took a sip of her cocktail, Alex began talking about his job in marketing and how he loved to analyze human behavior. He even mentioned that he conducted little social experiments in his personal life. Sarah thought it was an interesting topic, but she had no idea that she was about to become part of his latest test. Everything was going great. They laughed, talked about movies and travel, and Sarah began to think she had finally met someone special. But then, as the waiter handed them the menus, Alex casually dropped a bombshell.
Oh, by the way, I never bring my wallet on dates. I believe women should pay. It's only fair since men have been covering the bill for years. It's time for equality.
Sarah froze. At first she thought it was a joke, but Alex looked completely serious.
You're kidding, right?
She asked with a nervous laugh.
Not at all. I believe a truly independent woman should take the initiative, including paying for dinner. Welcome to the modern world.
Sarah felt a mix of irritation and amusement. She had heard of guys trying to split the bill on first dates, but this was a whole new level. She decided to play along for a bit.
Oh, so this is something you do on all your dates?
Alex nodded confidently.
Absolutely. It's a great way to see if a woman is truly independent. If she refuses, then she's just another entitled girl expecting men to fund her life.
Sarah smirked and glanced at the waiter, who had clearly overheard and was struggling to keep a straight face. When the check finally arrived, Alex didn't even pretend to reach for his pocket. Instead, he leaned back in his chair and smiled.
Thanks, this was a great date. I'm sure you're a real woman of the new generation and totally ready to cover the bill.
Sarah silently looked at him, then reached for her phone.
What are you doing?
He asked.
Just a sec,
she said, sending a quick text. A few minutes later, a tall man in an expensive suit walked into the restaurant and headed straight for their table.
Hey, Sarah, great to see you,
he said, giving Alex a long, piercing look. Alex paled.
This is my brother Jason,
Sarah said with a smile.
He's a lawyer and he loves hearing about situations like this. By the way, he really enjoys when men demand equality only when it benefits them.
Jason sat down next to her, his expression turning even more serious.
So, buddy, how are we going to handle this situation?
He asked, raising an eyebrow. Alex let out a nervous laugh, then quickly pulled out his wallet and threw some cash on the table.
All right, I was just joking,
he muttered. Sarah smiled and stood up.
Then that was the worst sense of humor I've ever encountered. Have a great night, Alex.
She and Jason walked out, leaving Alex alone with his bill and his regret. The next day, Sarah received a text from Alex.
Hey, I seriously don't get why you got so mad. It was just a test. But honestly, could you send me back the money for dinner?
Sarah just laughed and hit block.